Welcome to 8.5, trigonometric form for complex numbers. So using complex numbers but putting them in trigonometric style. So really what we're looking at is this right here is your magnitude, but we call that the absolute value of our complex form. So the absolute value, how do you find that? For z is your magnitude, basically. It's the exact same thing. You're going to hear this, and it's also called the modulus. And then down here, this bottom part is what you need. Z is equal to r times cosine of theta plus I sine of theta. They say it like this in the answer key. So CIS is cosine plus I sine of theta, just so they don't have to write it all. All right, so this is your trigonometric form or polar form of your complex number. A is the real number, B is your imaginary. Okay, so the absolute value, all you're doing is it's just like your vectors. So like number one, I'll just do it really quickly. Number one, if that was a vector, it'd be 3, negative 4. And if I said, what's your magnitude, you would do the square root of 3 squared plus negative 4 squared. And you'd get 9 plus 16 or 25, and that is 5. Okay, so it's the exact same thing, the absolute value of a minus bi. You square them and add them together. All right, so number two, 25 plus 64, you square them, take the square root. So that's 89, square root of 89. Okay, number three is negative 6 squared plus negative 7 squared. Take the square root, that's 36 plus 49, 70, that's 85, square root of 85. Okay, number four is going to be the square root of 1 squared plus negative 1 squared, or the square root of 2. And then number five, a plus b, that's your 0 plus 0i, so 0, 0. That's going to give you 0 for 5. So this is 0 squared plus 0 squared. Number 8, this is negative 8 plus 0i. So number 6 is going to be negative 8 squared plus 0 squared. So square root of 64, which is 8. Number 7, again, that's a plus bi, or 0 plus 8i. 0 squared plus 8 squared. Again, that's going to be 8. All right, and number 8, you get negative 8i, so 0 plus, or excuse me, minus 8i. Same type of thing. That's going to be 0 squared plus negative 8 squared, which makes it positive, so it's still 8. Number 9 is I to the 500, okay? So I to the 4th is 1. So 250, no, that'd be 1,000, sorry. 25, so that should be 125. So either way, I to the 4th is 1, and you raise an exponent to an exponent, that gives you multiply them, so that's the I to the 500. So what you have here is positive 1, which is I to the 4th, raised to the 125th power, which is 1. And number 10, I to the 7th, again, I to the 4th raised times I cubed. So when you multiply like bases, you add the exponent. So I to the 4th is 1 times I cubed, okay? And what is I cubed? I cubed is negative 1, but this is all absolute value. So that's 1. Okay, now let's go on to the next one. So represent the complex number geometrically. Basically, what it wants is a plus bi. Okay, a plus bi is the geometric form. So, we want to go ahead and look at this. And 11's already done. That's 4 plus 2i. 12's already done. 13's already done. 14's already done. So that's already represented geometrically. But 15's not done. So this would be negative 3 plus 6i, distributing the negative sign. We square this, what do you get? Well, if we multiply it by itself and figure it out, so that's 1 plus 2i plus 2i plus 4i squared is going to be 1 plus 4i minus 4, or negative 3 plus 4i. And that would be your answer. All right, number 17, distribute here, we get negative 6i plus 4i squared, and I squared is negative 1, so this would be negative 4 here. So we have negative 4 plus 6, minus 6i. And that would be the answer for 17. 18, distribute again. You get negative 6i plus 3i squared. I squared is negative 1, so that's minus 3. So negative 3 minus 6i. Number 19, 1 plus I times 1 plus I. So that's 1 plus I plus I plus I squared, which is negative 1. 1 plus negative 1 is 0. So you have 0 plus 2i, and you would label that 2i as your answer. And then 20, distribute the 4, we get negative 4 plus 8i, and that is your final answer for 20. Pretty simple. Next question. Okay, so express the complex number in trigonometric form from 0 to 2 pi. All right, so basically A is 1 and B is negative 1. All right, or you can say X is 1 and B is negative 1. So on your imaginary graphing, which is the same as XY, 1 and negative 1 put you right here. So if that was the unit circle, this would be a 45-degree reference, which makes A and B, or that angle, a pi over 4 reference. Okay, so to put it in trigonometric form, you have to do r times cosine of theta plus I sine of theta. Okay, or that's the RCIS, RCIS. Okay, well, we got to get r, so r is your modulus or radius, the length of your vector. So 1 squared plus negative 1 squared is square root of 2. All right, so that's square root of 2. And what is that theta? So all the way around is 7 pi over 4 plus I sine of 7 pi over 4. Now how they're going to list it in the book is like this. So square root of 2 CIS 7 pi over 4. Okay, so don't get freaked out when you look in the back of the book. That's the same thing. Cosine plus I sine of 7 pi over 4. Okay, so 22, let's find the modulus first. We're just going to continue to call it modulus, which is the same thing as magnitude. So that is square root of 3 squared plus 1 squared. That is 3 plus 1, or square root of 4, or 2. All right, so your A is square root of 3, your B is 1. So where is that on the unit circle? A is the square root of 3, it's positive, B is 1, okay? So you have about 1.7 for square root of 3 and 1. So here is the vector that you would get if this was in vector form, component form. So 2 is what we have there. Now we just need theta, okay? Got to figure out what theta is. So how do we do that? You have 1 and the square root of 3. Well, that's the same thing as x and y. Well, the tangent of theta is y over x. That's 1 over the square root of 3, which should look very familiar to you. 1 over the square root of 3 is the same thing as 1/2 over the square root of 3 over 2. So that's the short leg over the long leg. Okay, so y is the short leg and x is the long leg. So that's a 30-degree reference. Okay, so what's theta? Theta's 30 degrees, or we say pi over 6. So this would be pi over 6 here and pi over 6 there. Okay, so 2 cis pi over 6. Next question. Okay, same type of thing. R equals the square root of negative 4 square root of 3 squared plus 4 squared. So what is that? 16 times 3 is 48. That's 16. That's going to be the square root of 64, which is 8. All right, what is theta? That's the tangent of 4 over negative 4 square root of 3, or 1 over negative square root of 3. So y and x. So you are in the second quadrant. So again, that's 1/2 over negative square root of 3 over 2. So where are we? Long leg, short leg. So that's 5 pi over 6. So 8 cis 5 pi over 6. Okay, 24. What's your r again? Square root of negative 2 squared plus negative 2 squared. 4 plus 4 is 8. Square root of 8 is square root of 4 times square root of 2, or 2 square root of 2. So what is theta? The tangent of theta is y over x, or positive 1. So where is y over x equal to positive 1? Now hold on. X is negative and y is negative. So that means you're in the third quadrant somewhere. And x and y are the same. So this is going to be 5 pi over 4. So this is your r, 2 square root of 2, cosine plus I sine of 5 pi over 4. All right, 25. Again, r is equal to 2 square root of 3 squared plus 2 squared. So 4 times 3 is 12, plus 4 is 16. Square root of 16 is 4. So tangent of theta is 2 over 2 square root of 3. And again, look what we have. So that's 1/2 over square root of 3 over 2. So y is the short leg and x is the long leg. And both x and y are positive. So we're in the first quadrant. So you're at 30 degrees, which is pi over 6. Okay. So your r, cis, pi over 6. So again, just to remind you, this is 4 times the cosine of pi over 6 plus I sine of pi over 6. All right, number 26, what's r? 3 squared plus 3 squared of 3 squared. Well, that's 9. This is 9 times 3, or 27, which is 36. So r is 6. All right, tangent again. B, negative 3 squared of 3 all over 3. So you have a negative square root of 3 over 1, which is the same thing as negative square root of 3 over 2 and 1 over 2. Now, where are we? X is positive and y is negative. So we're in the fourth quadrant. Y is the long leg. X is the short leg. Okay, so we are at a 60-degree reference here, which is 5 pi over 3. So what's our answer? R is 6, cis 5 pi over 3. Okay, again, start all over. Negative 4 squared plus negative 4 squared. 16 and 16 is 32. Break it down. 16 and 2, that's 4 square root of 2 is r. So our answer, 4 square root of 2, cis something. So the tangent of theta is y over x, negative 4 over negative 4. So where are we? X is negative, y is negative. You're in the third quadrant. X and y are the same, so it's a 45-degree reference, 5 pi over 4. So this is your polar form of complex numbers. All right, so these are the same. So this is what you're doing. You're just changing it from a plus bi form to a trigonometric form. They get you the exact same position. All right, so 28 looks the same, but not quite. Negative 8 squared plus 8 squared. So 64 and 64 is 128, or 64 times 2, or 8 square root of 2. So that's your r, 8 square root of 2, cis. Now let's figure out the theta. Positive 8 over negative 8, so this is negative 1. All right, so where are we? X is negative, y is positive. So we're in the second quadrant at 45-degree reference, so that's 3 pi over 4. Okay. Okay, so it's getting a little redundant, but they're just changing some things up, and it'll get a little harder. So the radius, or the magnitude, or the modulus is this is going to be a plus bi. So a is 0, and negative 20 is the b. So negative 20 squared is 400. The square root of 400 is 20. So when they're by themselves, that's the actual answer without the negative. So r is 20. Now, what's theta? You have negative 20 over 0. Okay, well, where are we really? X is 0 and y is negative, so we're at 270 or 3 pi over 2. So that's the answer for number 29. 30, it's the same thing. So this is going to be 6, and we're at negative 6i, which is still 3 pi over 2. Hopefully you learned your lesson from number 29. Okay, go to the next problem. Okay, now this is a plus bi, so a is 12 and b is 0. All right, so what do we have? R is going to be 12. So if you're not sure of that, just calculate it out. 12 squared plus 0 squared. 144. Square root of 144 is 12. Same thing over here, R is 15. So we have 12, sis. Now where are we? So A is 12 and B is 0. You're on the x-axis. It's positive on both of these. Okay? So you're at 0. So what are you going to do? 12 cis, the degree is 0. And same thing over here. 15 cis 0. So those are the answers. So hopefully you learned your lesson on the last one, a plus bi. So your y value is 0. Where are we at negative 7? We're the other way at pi. So r is going to be 7 cis pi. 34, r is going to be 5 cis pi. So that's the same direction. Next one. So did we learn our lesson again? So this is your y. It's in the positive section. So it's right here at pi over 2. So this is going to be 6 cis pi over 2. And again, this one's positive. So this will be 4 cis pi over 2. Okay, now we get back into some other things. So let's do this. Your radius is negative 5 squared plus negative 5 squared of 3 squared. What do we get? That's 25. This is 25 times 3 is 75. That's 100 or 10. Square root of 100 is 10. So we have 10 cis something. So the tangent of theta is going to be negative 5 square root of 3 over negative 5. Where are we, first of all? They're both negative. We're in the third quadrant. So now we're at square root of 3 over 1, which is square root of 3 over 1 and over 2, and 1 over 2. So y is my long leg and x is my short leg. They're both negative. So we are at a 60-degree reference here, which makes this 4 pi over 3. So that's number 37. Radius, square root of 3 squared plus 1 squared. So that's 3 plus 1 is 4. Square root of 4 is 2. So 2 cis, and then the tangent of theta is negative 1 over square root of 3, or negative 1/2 over square root of 3 over 2. So y is negative, x is positive. So we're in the fourth quadrant. Y is the short leg, x is the long leg. So we're at a 30-degree reference, which is 11 pi over 6. And those are your answers for those. Okay, so now we have 5 plus 2i. So r is square root of 25 plus 4, or the square root of 29. So that goes here. Cosine plus I sine of, figure out tangent again, of 2 over 5. So what the book does is it sits there and says, well, you have to take and figure out what arctangent of 2/5 is, and they actually put that right here. And that's ridiculous. So put it in your calculator and figure out what the stupid degree is. So the arctangent of 2 divided by 5. That's 21.8 degrees. So we'll just say 22 degrees. So just put 22 degrees there. So as long as you have your work here for that, and then you tell me what the degree is, that's what we need. All right, so that's what you're going to kind of get when you're doing this. And we all know that if you just put this down, that doesn't tell anybody anything. So go ahead and figure out what the degree is. All right, so now we have 9 plus 4, or the square root of 13. And again, make sure you understand what cis means. I'm just going to keep saying that. Tangent of theta is 2 over 3. So you're going to say the arctangent of 2/3. So put that in your calculator. And you get 33.69. So we can say 34 degrees. We'll just round to the nearest whole number. And always make sure you are in degree mode in your calculators. So here are your answers for those two problems. All right, 41, do the exact same stuff again. So that's 9 plus 1, that's the square root of 10. And the tangent of theta is 1 over -3. So make sure we understand where that's at. So you have A is, remember, A is your real number and B is your imaginary, so x and y. So -3 and +1. You're in the second quadrant. So when you put this in, arctangent of 1 divided by -3, you get -18 degrees. So what that means is it's down here, which you got to understand that tangent can be 180 degree difference. So take and add 180 to that -18 and you'll get the right answer, 161 degrees, actually 162 if we're rounding to the nearest whole number. So again, this was -18.4 ... So make sure you know where it's at when you're using the arctangent. Let's do number 42. R equals the square root of 16 plus 4. That's the square root of 20. Break it down. 4 and 5. That's 2 square root of 5. So 2 square root of 5. Cis tangent of theta is equal to 2 over -4 or -1/2. So arctangent of -1/2 gives you, oops, let's do that again. -26.565, so -27 degrees. But again, where are we? That's your x and that's your y. So you're in the second quadrant again. So -27 degrees is here. We're 180 degrees in the other direction. So add 180 to that and you get 153 degrees. So again, if you show all of this, then it makes sense. All right? Again, R equals square root of 25 plus 9. That's square root of 34. Okay, cosine plus I sine of whatever theta is. -3 over -5. So where are we? We're in the third quadrant. All right, so the arctangent of 3 divided by 5 is 31 degrees. All right, so 31 degrees, 180 degrees the other way. So add 180 to it, and you get 211 degrees. All right, 44. 4 plus 49 is the square root of 53. And this is the arctangent of -7 over -2. So arctangent of 7 divided by 2 is 74 degrees. So add 180 to it. Again, 74 degrees is up here, but we're in the third quadrant, 180 degrees the other way. So 254 degrees. So those are your two answers you need for those two. Same thing again. 16 plus 9, that's 25. So that's 5. 5 cis arctangent. Tangent of theta is equal to -3 over 4. So arctangent of -3 divided by 4. Where are we? X is -3. Y is +4. We're in the second quadrant. So arctangent -3/4 gives you a -36.8 degrees. All right, so you're 180 degrees in the other direction. So add 180 to it. You get 143 degrees. 46 is 144 plus 25. That is 169 or 13. 13 cis. Tangent of theta is -5 over 12. So arctangent of -5 divided by 12 is -22 degrees. So where are we when x is negative, or x is positive and y is negative? We are in the fourth quadrant. So instead of saying -22 degrees, add 360 to it, and that gives you the right answer. so go all the way around here, we get 337 degrees. And how do you express this in a plus bi form? So now we're going backwards. So x is equal to r times the cosine of theta, and y is equal to r times the sine of theta. All right, so x is 4, or you could say a and b here, 4 times the cosine of pi over 4. Well, pi over 4 is square root of 2 over 2. Okay, that's your x value. So 4 times the square root of 2 over 2 is 2 square root of 2. And y is 4 times, again, square root of 2 over 2. It's going to be the same thing, 2 square root of 2. So what do we have? A plus bi. Okay, so it's 2 square root of 2 plus 2 square root of 2i. But we like to put the I in between the numbers and the radicals. Okay, it's not wrong if you put it in the back here. Okay, but that's where we normally put it. All right, same thing on the next one. So a equals 8 times the cosine of 7 pi over 4. All right, 7 pi over 4 is 1, 3, 5, 7. So we're in the fourth quadrant. The cosine is positive square root of 2 over 2 times the 8 gives us 4 square root of 2. And b is going to be 8 times the sine of theta, sine of 7 pi over 4, which is negative square root of 2 over 2 in the fourth quadrant. So we get negative 4i square root of 2. Okay, so a plus bi, so 4 square root of 2 minus 4i square root of 2. That would be your answer.